Hi everybody, Peter here. Welcome back to Triple G Comics. So, welcome to part one of our horror stroke scary movies marathon. I say marathon because after we finished recording this, we realised we enjoyed it so much, we decided to do a second version. After we did the second version, we realised that it was absolutely far too long. So what we've done is we've split those recordings into 4 episodes. This is the first of those. 2, 3, and 4 will follow each week after this one. So make sure you watch out for those. I hope you enjoy. Thanks now. How's it hanging, YouTube? It's Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek, and welcome to our top 5. So this month I'm joined as ever by Efren. How are you doing, Efren?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Good stuff, man. And we're also joined by our favourite attention-seeking geek, Ben.
Ahoy.
Ahoy.
How
I'm
are
getting
we?
Benny Hill vibes. I don't know why. I don't know.
Brilliant. That wasn't what I was going for, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
So today we're doing our top 5. Feels like a while since we've done one of these guys. So I'm very pleased to have you both back on the screen and doing what I think is going to be an interesting one. Horror. I love that.
Was that your voice?
Nice.
No, that was, I wish it was. I wish it was. That would have been tremendous. So, guys, we had a bit of a chat last week, and we said that we'll try and do a Halloween special. So this week, we're going to be looking at our top 5 horrors, scary movies. Now, you guys obviously have pulled the slides together, so I've seen everybody's picks, but you guys haven't seen each other's, and you just don't know what mine are. There are some interesting picks here.
Nice.
And I think Ben's outfit. I mean, Ben, that's not just your usual attire. You're wearing that for a reason, right?
I'm actually Popeye part-time. No, yes, this is closely linked to one of my choices for this evening.
So there's some interesting choices. So basically, these are, we're quite loose. We said horror movies, so things that have either scared us or horror movies, shows that we really enjoy. And this can either be films or TV series, films or TV series, I think we've mainly picked. So let's just crack straight on and have a look. What I've done, gents, is I've put 3 of our picks, like 1 pick each on the screen at a time, and we'll just talk around them. So these are in no particular order, I would say. These aren't like our favourites first or anything like that. So first picks are an interesting bunch straight away. We've got some classics there, and we've got some more up-to-date stuff, I think. So Ben, do you want to start off with your pick?
Yeah, sure. So I've got American Horror Story, but it's kind of the American Horror Stories franchise, because of course that's recently kind of expanded out. So I love this show. It's kind of the perfect mixture of that macabre kind of horror, gore, violent, bizarre, kind of twisted imagination, but it's also very camp. And that for me is right up my street. So of course it's spearheaded by Ryan Murphy. So he's sort of the creator and the genius behind it all. And yeah, like we've had a ton of different seasons. So essentially the premise for American Horror Story, for anyone that's not seen it, is that each series is a different kind of story. That being said, as time has gone on, they've all started to link and intertwine and have Easter eggs and things like that with each other. And there's kind of almost been like a lore built now in terms of like, that the ghosts from this universe abide by this rule and that rule and that rule, and it's so it's kind of almost become its own mythology now, which is pretty cool. So what we got: Murder House, Asylum, Freak Show, Hotel, Roanoke. So there's just listing a few of the series. My favorite series probably has to be the Freak Show one, I want to say. I just really enjoyed the kind of aesthetic, the time period, and just kind of some of the visuals of that series. I'm a massive Evan Peters fan as well, so every time he shows up on screen, I can't take my eyes off of it. And it's kind of reinvigorated the career of like certain careers as well, like Kathy Bates features in a couple of the series, and that's kind of rejuvenated her career, I think. Lady Gaga, I don't think Lady Gaga was kind of on everyone's radar as an actress until her kind of appearance in the Hotel series. So that's pretty cool. Now, this American Horror Stories is even more of an anthology in the sense that rather than a whole series be different, every episode is different.
Oh, right. Oh, I didn't
So
realize
if you,
that.
So if you, I know that you're a big fan of anthology storytelling and especially horror. So I could not recommend anything enough. Like, I'm actually at the point where I'm only 2 episodes into series 2 of American Horror Stories, and I'm almost preferring it more, just because they tell the stories perfectly within the kind of 15-minute to an hour mark. And some of my criticisms of the series has always been that it's dipped in form at a certain time, or the second half wasn't as strong as the first half. And so I'm actually really enjoying the American Horror Stories. There's a particular episode that features Danny Trejo as a killer Santa.
Listen, man, this isn't funny. I'll call the cops on you. You gotta go. Yo, I'll fuck you up, man.
That's one of my faves. Yeah, it's great. I couldn't recommend anything enough.
I will have to check that one out, because I have to say I watched the first series with my daughter, predominantly because she loves Evan Peters and she wanted to see him. And
Great taste.
we absolutely adored it. It was a tremendous series, really, really good fun. And then we started watching, is it Asylum, the one after that?
Asylum was the second series.
And that was hard going. And I don't know if it was just because we split it up or watched it over too long, but I think we lost our way and we just gave up on the series, to be honest.
The one after is Coven, and that's like all about witches and stuff. So I reckon that'll be right up your street, and your daughter as well.
I'll have to pick it back up again. Efren, have you watched any of this?
I watched season 1, and there's certain series. I'm sure it's a great series, Ben, but there's certain shows that just bother me. I can't say to scare me too much. And after season 1, I just didn't watch it. It just bothered me, this series, for some reason. And one of my
it scared you too much?
Yeah, it did. I live by myself, and so it gets me
scared. Efren. I want to come and give you a hug.
Huh? Believe me, if we were watching this show together, I probably would have hugged you a couple times. One of my picks that we're gonna see later on is the same thing, and I'll explain why. But I've seen the season 1, and that was enough for me. I can't watch this anymore, man. So.
It's funny because I don't know whether it's the way that I view horror, but like it's just so over the top that it's not scary. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, I think that it's. I mean, there's one particular series though that a lot of it takes influence from like the political landscape and stuff, and that one was a bit scary because it was like, oh, actually, I can kind of see these bits happening. But
it's interesting, Efren's comment there, and I think we'll probably touch on it later on about what scares different people and for what reasons. So, Ben, I know you're a big kind of slasher fan and Leatherface and all that kind of stuff. Whilst I find gore entertaining, I guess you would say, and hard to watch, it doesn't necessarily scare us. What scares us is kind of the unknown and the dark and the things in the corner and that kind of, and some of my picks later on, it's about sounds and sound effects and things. That freaks me out far more than seeing someone being dismembered or something.
I think for me, this series, when I first seen season 1, it just made me nervous when I seen it. I know something in my brain just, clicks on and just made me nervous. But when I start a season, I finish it from beginning to end. I don't say I'm not going to watch this anymore. Yeah. That's the way my brain works. And it just made me nervous. And I just didn't want to watch it after season 1. So.
Efren, was it Rubber Man? Was it bringing back those GIMP memories?
That had something to do with it, man. I think you know me too well now, man. That had something to do with it.
Oh god!
Okay, moving on from that image that's now forever in
From
my
one
head.
gimp to another.
Yeah. Efren, you've picked, I think, one of the classic movies of all time, Jaws.
This is not more, it's not like horror per se, but just scary. And the anticipation of what's going to happen next, the music of Jaws, you know, dun 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 dun, that whole thing. I was a teenager when this movie came out, and it came out in 1975. It starred Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and the great Robert Shaw. It was, the movie just scared the bejesus out of me. I started looking into sharks, you know, where they mostly go to, and they can go, you know, up to 2 feet of water. They can attack you. Crap, I didn't want to go to the beach anymore after that. I went to visit my family in El Salvador that summer, and they said, you know, there's a lot of sharks in Central America. I went, dang it, you know, maybe that paranoid when I seen this movie. It's a great movie, and if I see it, whenever I try to see it every now and then, and just like I said, it's not scary or horror per se, but just the anticipation and nervousness of watching this movie, and that's why I picked it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great pick. I think you're right. I think you're not alone in that kind of fear of sharks because of this film. I remember not this visit, but a couple of visits ago when we went to Florida for the first time, and with my family. My dad showed my son Thomas Jaws, and before we went, God knows why. I think he was babysitting and he thought that would be a good idea. And we went to a place called Discovery Cove in Florida, where you swim in the fresh water, and they've got a shark tank, but you're swimming around in the shark tank's plate glass, so it looks like the sharks are in with you. And my Lord, he nearly shit himself. I mean, he was literally turned the corner into all these hammerhead sharks, and he was out the pool, wouldn't go back in. He was terrified. And I put that down to Jaws. It was tremendous. I thought it was great fun. Ben, your thoughts on Jaws?
Yeah, it's a great pick. It's obviously it's one of the all-time greats, isn't it, of horror and kind of genre defining. Like the power of music. I know you're going to talk about sound effects later, Peter, but like the power of that theme and that music, and also some of the camera shots Spielberg used to kind of the extreme zoom out and zoom in and stuff like that. Like, I feel like actually not a huge amount happens in the film, but it's that feeling of suspense and obviously that kind of iconic scene. But and it's almost like embedded within everyone's psyche, that fear now, I think, from this, because it's so culturally kind of like prevalent. Like, I remember scuba diving in Barrier Reef, like shitting my pants, that I knew realistically that weren't going to happen, but like you just have it in the back of your head. You just have that in the back of your head. So,
and I mean, the interesting thing for me here is that's the actual poster that reference sent. It's a PG. You know what I mean? It's a PG. You know, I just phenomenal movie. Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So my pick is Poltergeist from back in 1982. I've got vivid memories of watching this when I was a younger kid, and I remember being absolutely terrified by it. And again, I think it plays into, this one does have some quite gory effects and things in it, but it's just that kind of, the static on the TV freaked us out, because this was back in the day where you didn't have thousands of channels. So when you went to bed at night time, you switched the TV channels over, you had that static and stuff, so it was there with you.
They're here.
And I remember watching it, and my mother watching it with us, and then when it near the end, where it all kind of calms down and you think the beat the good, she tried to tell us that was the end of the film. She says, you need to switch it off now, just kind of go up to bed kind of thing. And I was like, no, I want to watch it. And that's when the things come out of the swimming pool and everything, and horrendous. But the thing that, and it has scarred us, the thing that scarred us for life with this is the scene where the guy's in the kitchen and he's eating the chicken drumstick. If you remember, and the maggots pour out of the chicken drumstick. Yeah. And then he scratches his face and the skin comes off and there's maggot. Since then, I've had an aversion. This is true, an aversion to maggots. I can't tolerate them. And it's a bit the same. I think it's a similar kind of thing.
Say chicken then. No,
no, you enough chicken. No, it's a similar thing to I remember when I was younger watching an episode of a show called MacGyver. Anybody watch that?
Yep.
And there was an episode where basically this guy falls into a giant anthill and the ants swarm over him and he disappears into it. And since then, I've been freaked out by ants as well.
Indiana
bizarre.
Jones style.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Poltergeist, I think it's a tremendous movie. It kind of lost its way after the first one, and it went downhill a little bit. I haven't seen the remake. Don't know if any of
Most
you
horror
guys have
films
seen it.
do.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of Poltergeist? Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I love this pick. This movie, like I said, it scared me, but not like American Horror Story scared me. So I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh my god, such a good movie. And stuff. Who directed this movie? Was it also Steven Spielberg?
No, it was Toby Hopper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but I really enjoyed this movie, and when the little girl turns her head and because they're here, I think that's what she said.
Yeah, that's
they're
right.
here.
Yeah.
And the way this whole movie was made, and just in a Indian burial ground where the houses were built, and I was watching Disney Plus and ILM. I'm watching a series from George Lucas's company ILM, and they explain how they did
great
that
series
with the house, how it imploded.
Right.
It showed how they did that. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
And of course, this was beautifully mimicked in is it Ace Ventura?
Simpsons.
No, Ace Ventura when he does the voice of I've exorcised the demons.
Oh.
Not seen that
Scary movie as well. The clown doll, scary.
Oh god, I forgot about that bit.
Movie. Come
Did
to
he clown into the bed?
I can't I think I was the same as you, Peter. Like I watched it far too young. In what scenario I don't know, but I remember really being scared of it, and then kind of never watching it again. But I would like to revisit it now, obviously as a grown-up horror fan and stuff. It's been on the list of for a while, so I would like to revisit it. And as Efren says, some great practical effects shots and stuff like that sadly we don't get anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so it's 3 good picks there.
I'm going to watch that before Halloween. I'm going to put that on my list.
Right, again, some classics. Ben, we'll go back to start with you again.
Yeah. Look, when you came to me with this theme, I was like, come on, man. I can't choose 5. Do you know what I mean? I could choose 5 slashers, 5 ghosts, 5 monsters, but it was really hard. So I decided to kind of have the one slasher character. And unfortunately, as much as I love my Michael and my Jason and stuff like that, I went with Chucky. Just because he's kind of on the radar with the series 2 of the series trailer coming out recently and stuff. So, of course, this goes all the way back to 1988. Was the first one, Child's Play, and then you had Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Bride of Chucky, then Seed of Chucky, then Cult. Was it Curse and then Cult? And then the series, and then to the side of that, you had the 2019 Child's Play kind of reboot sort of situation going on as well. But Don Mancini is the brains behind the operation, and of course, Brad Dourif provides that kind of iconic voice of Chucky, aka the spirit of Charles Lee Ray. I just love how silly it is. A psychopathic murderer on his last dying wish performs voodoo to put his spirit into a kid's doll.
Sounds silly.
But when you go back and watch that first film, it's not played, and the second film as well, but it's definitely not played all for laughs. And it is quite sinister and stuff in parts. It was weird. With Bride of Chucky, it almost went through a genre transformation, and sort of introduced a lot more of the kind of campy comedy and just balls to the wall silliness, and then by the time Cedar Chucky came out, it was just stupid. But I love stupid. Look at me. So and then it kind of transformed back into more of the sinister sort of side with Curse and Cult. The series, I think, is a really nice mix between the two. Like, it kind of honors the Cedar Chucky and Bride of Chucky kind of era. You got like Jennifer Tilly coming back and stuff as Tiff, but it also, you know, has some great horror and kills and stuff like that in it. The remake wasn't that bad. Like, I was really against it because Don mentioned he had been really outspoken with the original cast about how it basically they didn't run it by him. It was like a studio decision, and he said, well, then I'm going to make my own series, you know. So I was kind of in that camp and very much against it, but I gave it a chance. And Aubrey Plaza's like great anyway. I really like her. She's a fucking weirdo, which is why I like her. And it was great. And Mark Hamill as the voice of Buddy in this one was superb. Have you not seen it yet?
No, I've not seen the series.
Honestly, Peter. Oh no! This is the remake.
Oh, the remake. Sorry, no, I haven't seen the remake either.
Yeah, I'd recommend both, but like I'd really recommend the film because it really took me by surprise at how good it was, and almost to set up for the sequel, like, got me more excited as well. Yeah. So yeah, highly recommend that.
I mean, I love Chucky, I have to say, and for me, I don't know if it's something about the height thing. That freaks me out more, and I don't know why. But you know the scenes where he's like going for the back of people's ankles and things like that, and slicing them. That really freaks me out, and I automatically, whenever I see that, grab me ankle. Do you know what I mean? It's weird, strange stuff. Efren, have you seen the Chucky films?
I've never seen one Chucky film. I've seen clips of it. I'm not saying that I avoid horror movies per se, but I guess I do. Because they just bother me. Something in my head just clicks off, and it's scary, too much scary. And
we got Ephraim for a great show tonight, right up his street.
I do enjoy them. I love this topic, and I just pick ones that I've seen. But I've never seen the series or the movies. You know, I've seen clips on it on YouTube and stuff like that. But that's the extent of me.
Have to check out Chucky. Have to check out Child's Play, the first one. It's really good, really. And they are, like Ben says, they are tongue in cheek, and they're quite funny.
If I watch the first one, we'll FaceTime each other so we can watch it all together. So I won't be by myself.
Yeah.
But like I think similar to like Robert Englund as Freddy, like the franchise has really ridden off the back of just such an incredible voice performance by Brad Dourif. Like, you know, just that little foul mouth, like, you know, angry. I love it. I love it to this day. And I got to meet Brad Dourif very recently, last is it year and a half ago or so, and it was magical. And it was so weird though, because he was like really nice. He was like, oh, hey, how you doing? But it was Chucky. And my brain could just not process this kind of quaint old man like being really nice to me, but it was Chucky's voice. Brilliant.
Superb. Good stuff. Efren, you've gone for a proper classic here.
Well, this is big. I think this is most likely the very first scary movie I ever saw. Back in the day when I used to go to church with my parents and my mom specifically, you know, God and Jesus and the whole thing like that. My mom actually took me to go see this movie, and I never asked her exactly why. I never asked her exactly why we went to go see this movie, but this movie scared the crap out of me. It's The Exorcist. It came out in 1973. It starred Linda Blair, and it just scared me. The whole premise of this movie, the devil, you know, an evil entity taking possession of a little girl, and they're trying to exorcise the demon from her, and it just goes through the whole process. After I seen this movie, something stick in your head. When I got home, I was in my bed. I did the sign of the cross, and I said, "Please, please don't let the devil appear this night." And I turned on music to soothe, to make myself calm. And guess what song came on immediately? The theme song to The Exorcist.
No way.
I kid you not. I remember that distinctly. This is
your mum's outside, like she programmed it to do that. Like,
rattling the door.
Yeah, the minute that song came on, I went, "Oh, this is it. This is done for." I think this is what started my semi-aversion to scary movies.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is why I find this show really quite interesting, actually, because I think it's the emotional and the long-lasting impact some of these films have on you that set you up for life, really. I mean, I love The Exorcist, but I have to say I can't think about The Exorcist without thinking about Repossessed. Anybody seen Repossessed?
I've heard of it, but I never saw it.
I'm not sure I have, no.
Leslie, it's your scary movie of the day. It's the Leslie Nielsen remake of Exorcist, and it's hilarious.
Oh, maybe I will watch that then. Okay.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I love Leslie Nielsen.
Which is funny because Scary Movie did a whole bit on The Exorcist, a whole opening sequence.
Yeah.
Like
so I take it you've seen this, Ben.
So everything we talk about tonight, I'm obviously very casually talking about American Horror Story, Chucky. Like I see horror in a very kind of tongue-in-cheek slapstick kind of way almost, but this film fucks me up. Like, this film legitimately makes me really uncomfortable even to this day. And I don't know, because I'm an atheist, so I've got a very kind of strong position when it comes to kind of faith and things like that, but it's almost because of my because I've got no link to faith. When faith is referenced or spoke about, like, it almost makes me uncomfortable even more, because I can't understand that sort of. And so because this film is so kind of built around belief and things like, and higher powers and stuff like that, it automatically kind of sets me in a really unsettling place. And then it's just a masterclass of like so there's no soundtrack for a lot of this. When you watch it back, it's very quiet, and you hear every knock, every every nuance of what people are saying and stuff, and because of that you automatically get closer and closer and watch it, and then it hits you with those subliminal demon imagery and stuff, and that face like completely messed me up for most of my life. Every time I close my eyes, that face just flashes up, and her coming down the stairs and stuff, like I just, and I think what really scares me is that this is like very loosely, but it's still based upon a true story about ultimately, I'm not going to talk about faith and stuff too much, but whatever the case was in the real world, a lady was mentally ill, and that is almost scarier than any kind of supernatural stuff that we see. The idea of this woman kind of tearing herself apart, and so really, bloody hell, Efren, you've got me, in a state.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Efren, amazing pick. I love this movie, but it's interesting, Ben, you're saying about leaning in to listen closely, because I've not put it on my list, but when you said that, it made us think of a movie I watched a while ago, and I did exactly that, kind of leaning in to listen, and nearly literally shit my pants. And it's a film, I think it's Michael Keaton. It's White Noise. Have you seen that one?
I've heard of it
a while ago, but
it's basically this, and again, it's based on true story. It's the white noise that you get on a TV or on a radio and stuff like that, kind of crackling noise. And people have recorded it and said they hear voices. And there's bits in that movie when the white noise is playing and you kind of lean in, and then it says something, and you literally, I was like, oh, that.
Have you ever watched on YouTube Unsolved? Yeah. So it's these two lads who like go around and ghost hunt, and like one of them just doesn't believe in it and is always prattling about. One of them's like really invested, and they have that white noise spirit box. Yeah. And it's so well cut together, because as silly as it is, sometimes it does kind of freak you out a bit, because the voice will be like or whatever, and they'll put Efren on the screen, and it's like, fuck, it did say Efren, didn't it?
Yeah.
and like it's great. So recommend. They've stopped doing it, and I bloody love that show.
I mean, I have to say, Ben, just talking about this is making me a bit uncomfortable. I'm very pleased, I've got my wife to cuddle into tonight, and I know you've got people at home. I would hate to be finishing this show and sitting in a quiet house all by yourself. Do you know what I mean?
You mean like me?
Oh, sorry. Are you?
Yeah, but he's got a sunny California afternoon ahead of him.
Yeah.
Still, it's not nighttime for him. The demons are coming for us first, Peter.
I have
Okay.
my little dog with me here. So
Yeah, tremendous. Yeah, when the dog starts barking at the wall.
Yeah.
that's
Wait,
when he
were his
freaks out.
eyes glowing red?
Okay, guys. So my pick is Sinister, which is a movie from 2012 starring Ethan Hawke. Have you guys seen this film?
No.
I can't remember if I have or not. Like,
Leave it.
I'm not gonna lie. I do find the like Insidious and
Yeah.
and this and that. Like, I get them mixed up and kind of forget a lot of them. Like,
So this one, I mean, really freaks me because, again, like I say, it plays to my kind of horror, which is glimpses of things in the corner of the screen that gently build up. And this is about a writer who's going through a bit of a dry patch, and he writes true kind of novels based on murders and things. And he goes to this house where there's been a series of murders over the years with his family, or a murder over the years with the family. And during the course of the movie, he basically discovers this box of old cine films, which show kind of like a garden scene of the kids that have been killed and stuff, and the kids that went missing and the family that are murdered. And then every now and then on the screen, you see this thing kind of in the corner watching. And basically, as the movie goes on, I'll not spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but as the movie goes on, it's linked to 5 or 6 different murders. And in each murder, there's this video or a recording of some kind of the family, and this creature's in the background. And it gently builds and builds and builds to the end where it's revealed kind of who or what is killing all of these families. It's tremendous.
is this the one with the? Is he like red and black demon? Like a
No.
Or is that Insidious? I can't remember.
That's Insidious. Yeah, he's a white face. That kind of face on the wall there. He's a white face guy. You don't actually really see a great deal of him, to be honest. I just spoil it.
Less is more sometimes, though. Yeah. Have you ever seen Babadook?
Oh, yeah. So shut your ears if you don't want it spoiled. So basically, you don't see much of the creature other than he gathers children. So in each case, it's been the family's children that have conducted the murder at the end. And that's how the film ends, with basically the writer being murdered by his own kids. And it ends there. It's absolutely superb. There's a follow-up to it. But it just freaked me out. It just really freaked me out, this idea of something always
your kids murdering you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, to be fair. But yeah,
I think they've come close a few times, haven't they?
And interestingly, I haven't looked into it in too much detail, but this was apparently there's some kind of metric they use to examine scary films and what the scariest movie is, and this was top of the shops for a number of years as the scariest movie out there. So it's well worth a watch if you haven't seen it. Okay,
guys, I go to bed. When I go to bed, you guys probably will be waking up, so I'm going to call you guys before I go to bed just to calm myself. Okay.
Sing you a lullaby.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben, we'll start with you again. What's that face for?
I'm laughing at your choice. Like I already know it's
how do you know what my choice is?
Oh, because I've seen Parkinson's face. It's not going to be Efren, is it? Hilarious. Anyway, so my choice is Ash versus Evil Dead, the series.
Yo, Granny.
But of course, it's pretty much kind of the Evil Dead franchise as a whole, centering around Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams there, and very similar to Child's Play and Chucky, like kind of has gone through genre changes, like and as it's kind of gone through time. So you of course had the 1978 Sam Raimi, like very low budget, surreal. It's very Evil Dead is such a hard film to describe because it's just so strange and ethereal. I would describe it as ethereal. Like it's you can almost smell and smell it. It's that it's that much of a sensory experience. Anyway, Evil Dead 2 comes along and almost kind of mocks itself, like it almost kind of parodies itself and becomes this different thing, then Army of Darkness is just like I mean, that's borderline fantasy. That's kind of a horror fantasy film. You did get a kind of reboot, but I don't want to talk about that because it's rubbish. But this series, like for me, man, I miss it. It was as close as I felt to watching Buffy since Buffy. Like it had that kind of every week there was a different kind of monster, and you were looking forward to kind of the costume designs and stuff like that. But at the same time with this, what made it so special is that it had that real adult humor and that extreme violence, and that you can only really do today in terms of sort of special effects and stuff as well. My highlights include the mascot Deadeye. The kind of it was like a bear or a tiger or something like that. Ashy Slashy, the killer puppet, and the cum scene. Just love this show. I love this show. Like, it's just so silly, and the supporting cast there, Dana De Lorenzo is I think her name, who plays Kelly, who, if you asked me as a teenager to draw my ideal woman, I think I would have drew her. And then Ray Santiago, who plays Pablo, who's just like the perfect sidekick. And of course, you know, geek legend Lucy Lawless coming in to play Ruby as well. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys are you up to date? I don't want to give anything away.
I'm not up to date. No, I've watched the first series, but I'm not up to date. But I love Bruce Campbell. I'll watch anything with Bruce Campbell in it. So this is on my list of things to catch it. But it's finished now. Is that right? Is it?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's it. It got cancelled.
Do they conclude it, or is it left hanging?
No, they pretty much concluded it. They sort of, again, without spoiling anything, they do a big time skip.
Yeah.
Show what was going on.
I'll definitely catch up. And again, I mean, just slightly jumping ship slightly, Ben. I think that's a hot toy I want. I have to say, I could do with the Ash.
I've seen very mixed reviews though. It's Asmus Toys who made it, I think, and I've seen some of the paint applications on them aren't great, but the ones that are good, yeah, me too, mate. Yeah. It's affordable as well. It's like 200.
Yeah, it's not bad, is
quid.
It?
Like, I'll get one if you get one.
Ephraim, have you watched any of Ash versus Evil Dead or any of the Evil Dead series?
But I watched the original movie. What was it called? Army of Darkness?
Oh, Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness is number 3 technically, but yeah, Evil Dead and then Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness.
I watched the first one and I love this character, and I have no reason why I haven't watched it. I think I might put it on my list and actually start watching it. I love the character.
I think you'll like him.
First came out in the movie, but I just never followed through on the others, when this new series came out. But I'm gonna really start to watch this one. So
I don't remember, and it's probably because it was too much of a horror. I don't remember watching Evil Dead 1 or 2, but I've got very clear memories of watching Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness, and loving that, absolutely loving it. And since I've gone back and watched Evil Dead 1, I can't remember 2. Can't remember 2 for the life of us. I will have watched it, but I cannot.
What's funny, 2's almost more iconic because 2's when he puts the chainsaw on and stuff like that. Like, yeah. 2's weird as well because it literally does like a recap of the first film. They reshot a lot of the first film and did like an almost like a previously in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, because I would potentially say number 2 is my favorite.
The best. I'll have to go back and watch it. I did watch a little bit of the remake, and there was a scene where the branches of the trees or something were coming through someone's skin. I thought, nah, it didn't feel like Evil Dead to me, so I just switched it off. I couldn't. It chewed. Ephraim, The Haunting on Hill House. Sorry, I have seen this and I love this. Sure.
So you know how I said American Horror Story that I only watched season 1 because I couldn't stand watching anything else after that? This is the same thing premise. This was a Netflix series, and I heard about it. My relatives say it was a good series, so I started watching it. I watched the first episode. I went, "Oh, damn it! I know this show's gonna bother me." But I wanted to watch it all the way through. Basically, it's American supernatural horror drama. It's a family member where they go to this house and they go back between present and past to show, the whole series. But, things start happening in the house which haunts them. So they have to leave the house, but it continues to haunt them throughout their adult lives. And there's one particular ongoing scene of the youngest daughter. And I just went, she keeps on seeing somebody being hung like by a rope, and it haunts her whole life. And I'm going to give out spoilers here, but sorry, but towards the end of this series, at the beginning of the series, she passes away, but then it explains, it shows flashbacks of her life, and she sees this hanging person her whole life, and from a little kid into adulthood, and it freaks her out that at the end she commits suicide and she hangs herself, and she was basically watching herself die through her whole life. And I watched the whole series. It scared the crap out of me. I was by myself at my home, and I just gutted through it. And there was a season 2, and I said, nope, I'm not watching this at all.
Season 2 is a separate story. I haven't seen season 2 yet. Have you seen this, Ben?
I did. I did lose a little bit of interest, to be honest. Like, my wife was glued to it. My wife really enjoys the ghost stories a lot more than me. Like, I'm a kind of monster and slasher kind of guy. So the one thing I would say is that the way that it displayed how you see ghosts, I quite enjoyed that. This is going to be weird, right? When I was little, I'm adamant that I saw a ghost of someone hanging we were in France, and we were at a hotel, and it was a stairway, and it was right at the top, and I don't think I told anyone like at the time, and I just it just stayed with me. But I don't believe in ghosts, so I know now. I know now that it was probably, a subliminal, my mind, showing me something that I saw subliminally, a couple of days ago or whatever.
Ghosts?
Don't believe it. Shut your face. No.
See, I once saw a superb show where they were trying to argue about ghosts and things like that. And someone put a really interesting point across and said, it's basically just, we can't see them because they're at a different frequency. And people were saying, oh, it's a load of rubbish and blah, blah, blah. And they said, yeah, but we're surrounded by radio waves and ultraviolet light at all times, and we can't see it. But it doesn't mean it's not there. So ghosts are just the same. They're echoes or whatever that we can't see yet.
Yeah, the argument that the particles are just rearranged in different ways, and
anyway,
we'll all find out eventually, won't we? One thing that I don't know if anyone's picked it, so I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun, but has anyone picked the director's follow-on? I can't remember what it was called, but it's about vampires and the church. Did anyone pick that one? No, it's on Netflix as well. I can't remember what it's called. I remember we spoke about it, Peter, when it was on. But I much preferred that one. Like, I found that one a lot scarier and stuff. But again, it was like about faith and things like that.
Yeah.
You carry on. I'll find the name out.
There was this one extra scene, not an extra scene, but a scene during the series when the two sisters were in the car, and somebody pops up in between them.
Freaked me out. I was watching that with my daughter. I went mental. So, like, Efren, so here's the thing. I watched this with my daughter, and for all the reasons you've just said, I loved it, and I loved the shocks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But after you've watched it, if you go online and look at the director's commentary, there are ghosts in pretty much every scene, but they're kind of like standing behind curtains.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so you have to basically go back through it and try and split pretty much every main scene. There's something either in a window or behind a chair or in the corner of your eye, all the way through it. It's tremendous.
In the series, there was that?
Yeah, all the way through the series. Yeah.
Send me pics.
Midnight Mass.
Oh yeah. Very good. Yeah, recommended.
Yeah, I much preferred that to this one.
Right, guys. So Ben mocked here. Do you either of you have any idea what this is?
Not me.
Ben?
I only remember Parky as Parky doing the interviews and
So this is an absolute classic. That I mean, it won't probably stand up these days, but you need to go back and watch it. That absolutely fucked up a generation, and myself included. So this aired in 1992 as a live broadcast called Ghost Watch, and it was before the days of the internet, obviously, and spoilers and all that kind of stuff. So it was basically aired on Halloween night with 3 British celebrities who were kind of known for journalism and all that kind of stuff. Do you know Craig Charles from Lister from Red Dwarf? He was in it as well. And basically, it was an hour and a half program set up as a live Ghost Watch on Halloween, where we're going to, get stories about ghosts. They were going to do a live ghost hunt in this house and all this kind of jazz. And the program kind of went on with these guys taking phone calls in the studio from people ringing in to say they've seen ghosts and this and that and all the rest of it. And Craig Charles with somebody else was in this house which was meant to be haunted, and they were talking to the family about the ghost, and there was a little girl and all this kind of stuff. And as the show went on, every now and then when the live cameras were panning around a room, you might see the curtain move or something. Or on one scene, which was horrific, as they were talking, the camera turns and you see a reflection of something in the glass window behind them. And as the story develops, basically this house is haunted by something called pipes, which shakes the pipes and is being bothering the child all its life and stuff.
We go back upstairs and... Shh.
And anyway, as the story progresses, you see more and more of this thing. And then it gets to the point where somebody rings the studio and says, hang on, I'm seeing these images on screen. Are you realizing this is happening live? And then someone else rings and says, actually, I've just seen this thing in my house. And it builds and builds. And then all of a sudden, one of the people in the house is dragged into a cupboard and disappears. And then all of a sudden, someone else rings the studio and says, hang on, this is happening in my home as well now. And it turns out that this thing is going through the television broadcast into people's houses. So bearing in mind, this is a live broadcast.
Genius.
All of a sudden, the studio goes totally tits up. The lights all burst. You hear the creature's voice in the cameras and everything. Parkinson collapses. This is a massive guy, Ephraim. He's one of our main broadcasters. Very straight guy. Parkinson collapses in front of the teleprompter and starts reading a children's nursery. I'm getting all goosebumps. Starts reading a child's nursery rhyme, and then he turns into the voice of the creature you've been hearing all through the series.
There are no cameramen. I mean, it's difficult to know, even if anybody's still with us. But if they are, this is the scene in this studio, this totally deserted studio. Good. Autocue's working. Round and round the garden like a teddy bear.
And it just ends. Everything to black. It wasn't live at all. It was a recorded show that they decided to air. It got over 1 million complaints. People ringing in to say, what the fuck has happened? The entire nation ringing in to say, what's going on? Is Parky dead?
Oh my God.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I watched it as a kid and I literally shit my pants because it was played so beautifully that it was a live broadcast.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Back in the day, amazing.
Well, back in the day, because this kind of thing had never been done then. Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of, it reminds me of like War of the Worlds when they read that on the radio and people thought it was real. And like, I love stuff like that.
But
like
the way they got around it, because obviously there's an awful lot of complaints because it really did upset people and people thought it was real. The Radio Times, which is our kind of news book, the month before or the week before, it actually says in the description that it was it's a dramatization. So they got away with it by putting it in there, but nobody read the small print. Well, you can get it on YouTube and stuff.
1992 Ghost Watch for 40 minutes. Oh, I'm gonna watch that. I'm excited.
But I remember watching it And as the camera, as they're talking about pipes and stuff, and as the camera pans in the living room, they've got kind of the conservatory doors, and it's dead nonchalant. They're just following the people in the house, and as the camera pans, you see the shadow stand behind the camera, and you see the face. I literally nearly leapt out of my chair. It was horrific. But yeah, brilliant show to watch. Really recommend it.